But first, those wonderful scenes out of Canberra today as King Charles arrived to big crowds outside the Australian War Memorial before being officially welcomed at Parliament House by the Prime Minister and assorted other dignitaries. Now, given the ACT's hard-left population, borne out by the fact on Saturday night the Territory re-elected Labor for a record 7th term, the scenes of people lining up 10 deep to greet the King would have upset plenty of Republicans. They would just love getting under their skins, knowing they've never really recovered after that referendum defeat, as this cartoon depicting Republican sore loser Malcolm Turnbull being forced to watch the welcome on the Opera House sails for the King and Queen so beautifully shows. But he's just one of a number of elites upset at the King's positive reception, because while the belligerent Labor premiers might have stayed away, ordinary Australians have not. Here's former head of the Republican movement, the journalist Peter Fitzsimons, who on X over the weekend had this spray saying the media coverage of the royal visit was, and I quote, he says, bugger all. But that jaded analysis of media disinterest was quickly rejected by Nine's media and entertainment reporter Peter Ford, who said this on morning radio.
So I don't know where he's been all weekend, hiding under a rock, or whether it's just wishful thinking, because obviously this is not what he wants to have happen. But you can't pretend it's not there. I mean, the coverage has been massive, you know, but according to Peter Fitzsimons, no, there's no real interest in it and there's no coverage for it.
Well, he's just running interference, hey, Pete?
Yeah, well, I think so.
Well, polls are showing that support for Republic is at a generational low. So you can understand the Republican movement's bitterness and the sense they've missed the bus. And they weren't on the right side of history. A bit like those very same elites who missed the bus on The Voice, because funny, isn't it? Almost everyone who supported The Voice was a Republican. Or is it that almost every Republican supported The Voice? Whichever way it is, they're wrong. And they copped a good lesson in the power of democracy from Australia's silent majority, didn't they? Everyday Australians support the Crown because it is steadfast and above party politics. It's sometimes hard to know who the Prime Minister is going from one week to the next, but that's never the case with the Crown. The death of the beloved Queen, which the Republicans always said would be their opportunity to pounce, has instead meant a seamless transition to her son. And because of the line of succession, we can be clear about who will be our monarch many decades on. And while, as the Prince of Wales, Charles might have been too much of a climate zealot for everyone's taste, mine included, Alexander Downer made that point today, he has been an exemplary king so far, as shown in his speech today, saluting our democracy. More and more, I think, Australians are looking at places like America and sensing that our constitutional monarchy is the best system of government, or at least better than any of the alternatives. Monarchy keeps a part of our public life free of party strife. It means there's someone to call us together on great occasions and small, someone who is above and beyond politics. And for me as a lawyer, I always draw a distinction between the royal family and the Crown. They're not mutually exclusive, of course, because there's always a royal who wears the crown, but the Crown at the apex of our system of government is something special. So I always ask the Republicans, if not the Crown at the top, what or who would you want instead? And that then takes us down the path of an elected president. I mean, do you want Kevin Rudd or Twiggy Forrest or some Aboriginal activist like Lydia Thorpe put in charge of our democracy? What a shrew. I mean, honestly, she is a disgrace. If she hates the king and the crown so much, how about she just quits the parliament and donates her big salary to charity? And as for all this talk that he's a British king, well, if we can share with Britain a language, a legal system and a parliamentary democracy, what's wrong with sharing our king too? I mean, I can be a wife, a worker, a TV broadcaster, a columnist, a Victorian and an Australian. If I could be all those things at once, then Charles can readily be the King of Australia at the same time as he's also the King of England. For me, the crown's a grace note in our public life and a chance to say with feeling, may God bless Australia and may God save the King.